quadratic equation or factoring method complete the square method, quadratic formula, and drawing method. General shape of quadratic equation is this shape. To solve the equation with factoring method, we consider two modes. One, A is full square. That means A equal k power by 2. In this case, we must form two factors that starting by radical ax, then we must find two numbers like x1 and x2 that multiplied by them is c, and sum of them is b divided by square root of a. Then we must put these numbers in parentheses, then set each of these parentheses equal 0 and solve these equations. For example, in this equation, a equal 1. 1 is full square. We must form two parentheses that starting by x. Now we must find two numbers that multiply by them is 2 and sum of them is -3. We make list of pairs numbers that multiply by them is 2. Then check some of these numbers. 1 and 2 are numbers that multiplied by them is 2. But some of them isn't -3. Other numbers that multiplied by them is 2 are -1 and -2. Some of these numbers are -3. Then -1 and -2 are numbers that we want. Put these numbers in these parentheses and set each of these parentheses equal to 0. From first equation, result x equal 1, and from second equation, result x equal 2. Second example. In this equation, a equal 9 and 9 is full square. We form two parentheses that starting by 3x. Now we must find two numbers that multiplied by them is -24 and sum of them is -515 divided by a square root of 9. If pay attention to sign of this number is negative, then two numbers that we must find, one of these numbers is negative and another is positive. Sum of these numbers is negative. The result sign of these numbers is different and negative number is strong. When we make a list, we must attention to this result. Two numbers that multiply by them is -24 and negative number is strong, or -24 and 1. Some of them isn't -5. Then these numbers not correct. -20 and 2 are numbers that multiply by them is -24. Sum of these numbers is -10, unequal with -5. -8 and 3 are numbers that multiply by them is -24. Some of these numbers are -5. Then these numbers are numbers that we want. We must put these numbers into parentheses and set each of these parentheses equal 0. From first equation, result x equal 8 divided by 3, and from second equation, result x equal 1. Second modes. A isn't full square. In this case, we have two methods for solve the equation. First method, we multiply both sides with A. If multiply both sides by A, we have this equation. In this equation, coefficient of x squared is full square. In this case, we learn how solve equation. For example, multiply both sides by 3. In this equation, A is full square, so we forms two parentheses that starting by 3x. Now we must find two numbers that multiply by them is 6 and sum of them is 5 minus 5. Two numbers that multiply by them is 6 and sum of them is minus 5 are minus 2 and minus 3. Put these numbers in these parentheses and set each of parentheses equal 0. We have two equations that solve this equation. From first equation, result x equal 1, and from second equation, result x equal 2 divided by 3. second method. Second method named Magic X method. In this method, we draw a big X and write A times C in this part and -5 in down. Now we must find two numbers that multiply by them is 6 and a sum of them is -5, and write these numbers in this part, then divided these numbers by A. This fraction can be simplified. You must simplify this, but this fraction cannot be simplified. Now we form two factors. One of these factors is 1x plus -1, and second factor is 3x plus -2. If simplify these parentheses, we have two factors. If set each of these parentheses equal 0, we have two equations. From first equation, result x equal 1, and from second equation, result x equal 2 divided by 3. Second example. We solve this equation with first method. Enough multiply both sides by 6. In the first method, enough multiply both sides with 6. If multiply both sides by 6, we have this equation. In this equation, A is full square. We must form two parentheses starting by 6 times x. Then we must find two numbers that multiply by them is -36, and sum of them is -30 divided by radical 36. If simplify this fraction, we have minus 5. Minus 36 is negative. We result numbers that we must find are different sign. Two numbers with different sign, sum of two numbers with different sign is negative. This result that negative number is strong. When we make a list, we must consider this result that we want two numbers with different sign that multiplied by them is minus 36 and negative number is strong. But sum of them is minus 35 and unequal with minus 5. 2 and minus 18 are numbers that multiplied by them is minus 36 and negative number is strong, but sum of these numbers is minus 16 unequal with minus 5. 3 and minus 12. Sum of these numbers is minus 9. 4 and minus 9 are numbers that multiplied by them is minus 36 and sum of them is minus 5. So these numbers are same numbers that we want. We must put these numbers in these parentheses. Then set each of these parentheses equal 0. From first equation, these equations are this equation. From first equation, result is equal minus 4 divided by 6, and from second equation, result is 9 divided by 6. Both fraction can be simplified. First fraction equal minus 2 divided by 3, and second fraction equal 3 divided by 2. Now we want to solve this equation with second method. First, draw a big X and write this part A times C. A is 6 and C is minus 6 multiplied by them is minus 36, and write minus 5 in this part. Now we must find two numbers that multiplied by them is minus 36 and sum of them is minus 5. These numbers are minus 4 and minus 9 and 4. Divided two numbers by A. Then simplify the fractions. From first fraction result minus 3 divided by 2, and from second fraction result 2 divided by 3. Now forms two factors. One of these factors is 2x plus minus 3, and second factor is 3x plus 2.